Here we are, bottom of the Smash Mountain. I would like to thank truly all of my Patreon supporters on patreon.com/bsmpod because it's over. Nathan, this is going to be the one, not to make it about me entirely, but I'm no longer going to be having my Patreon up. I'm shutting it down. The reason being, I think it's been obvious to the close followers of the podcast. I've not been producing on a regular basis at a regular clip. We'll get into all that, but TLDR, I'm not going to be doing this on a regular enough basis that I feel I can't provide the value of the Patreon to the people who subscribe, therefore shutting it down. However, I'm very appreciative of all the support. I mean, I've had people come and go, but obviously my parents, they put in a nice chunk every month for a couple years now, or well, at least a full boy, I didn't want to start that up. I think it was the end of 2021, so it'll be just about 2 years. So my parents and Ventus Official, those are the two biggest ones. I really appreciate, again, all the love that comes my way from a financial perspective, because it's allowed me to go to tournaments like Genesis 9 and see our guest here, Nathan Sandwich, who joins us. This is a tried and true. This is the good old stuff. Back to I miss the old Nathan Sandwich. Well, you got the new and improved Nathan Sandwich talking with me, your host, Jesse, on bottom of the Smash Mountain, a classic, a hood classic. This is at least the fifth, if not sixth time, and I'd say give it to me more. The only thing is obviously not as much on a regular basis, but Nathan, thank you so much for joining me once again.
Yeah, it's been a bit. What has it been, like 7 months since I've last been on? It's been a while.
We did not get to talking right after Genesis 9. That was so we got to meet in person at long last. It was great to see you. Sailor hat, yeah. That is Nathan 1000%. And then
you can see in the background right there, actually, the sailor hat vaguely.
and so when after the event was over, I think you and I connected maybe a month later, and you're going still decompressing, but we got to it a month or two after that, so maybe in the April-May timeline. I think it was before Battle of BC5. Maybe that would be a good last time that we spoke on the pod, but it speaks to our relationship, be it a far away gamer to gamer in the same community relationship, because you messaged me and said you want to do it again, and I said absolutely, because there's that I think a big part of this for me is my IRL commitments, and life is taking a big step up. I guess I've committed a lot of my evenings to doing other things the time that I'm typically recording, so that means it's hard for me to have time to do this, but only after finishing the final Frisbee League game, Ultimate Frisbee League game of the season tonight, getting back home, showering, stretching, that's a big one, I'm now being able to talk to you. Then I have a full day tomorrow. So it's on a week-to-week basis. It is tough to get to there. But for you, Nathan, you've been equally busy doing lots of stuff. We've talked a little bit before we went live. You have a job on top of school, on top of once again, contributing to the biggest tournament of our calendar year in terms of, I mean, no offense to Big House, but Big House is still just, and if it's 1A, it's 1B, if it's 1 or 2, however you want to phrase it, ultimately somebody's got to be number 1. And it is Genesis X. GX this year, this upcoming February over President's Day weekend. This is something that everybody should definitely be looking into, especially for you hotel savers. I mean, they're running out of rooms. El Rapido. It's crazy. So
get on it now.
Exactly. And as much as I want to get on it now, that I'm also kind of frozen up on, am I going to be able to go? Blah, blah, blah. But you've been doing so many things. So Nathan, where do we even begin?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, so I would say the first thing is that I'm done with school now. I have a bachelor's degree in sociology, so we're officially done with school. That is the first thing that's off the list.
That's great.
Done. I don't have to worry about it anymore. I can now just start figuring out what I want to do in life, which I would say to some degree, we're still figuring it out, but hey, that's just the way life is. But I would say, having a job, it's nice. It's my first job. Even though it's like a part-time job, it's a good job to have, even though I'm just bagging groceries, pushing carts, or putting stuff away or whatever. Like it's been a good first job. I'm getting paid to do it, which is ultimately the best thing out of it.
Mm.
But it's been good, and I can tell surprisingly in a lot of ways, TOing has helped with that in a lot of ways. Just entering the workforce or whatever, and I'm like, TOing prepared me well for this, and it's been a lot more seamless than I thought. Like it's still a learning process, like there is with any sort of job, but it's felt pretty seamless in terms of just like, okay, I just handle this, like a TO. I'm told to do something, I go and do it. If I'm not sure about something, ask somebody, just figure it out and go from there. But it's been very straightforward, and it's been nice. I've enjoyed it, and I'd say like I'm in a very good place right now. Like I'm pretty satisfied of where my life has been, especially just like as the year has gone on. It's kind of like it's just kind of picked up steam and just hasn't really stopped. Really, like I mean, it's picked up steam since about maybe March or something, and just it's only gone up. It's been a great year.
That's awesome to hear. Do your coworkers know about your second life?
No. I'll probably tell them at some point, but that answer is no as of now.
You gotta invite them to at least finals day. I'm only saying that as someone who you live close to, not right next door, but they can make a day trip out of it. I mean, San Jose is a fun town. Just don't necessarily walk everywhere by yourself after a certain time of the evening in certain streets. That's all. But that's every city, you know?
Every urban city.
Every urban city, and it's Cali. If you live in NorCal, you already understand what that's like because there's plenty of streets
There's some
to
rough
avoid and,
stuff.
and all these developments. But without actually being a native, how far are you away from the San Jose Convention Center from where you are in NorCal?
Without traffic, I want to say roughly a little over an hour.
Sure.
Give it about an hour and a half,
Hmm.
if you were to factor in some traffic as well. But it's roughly an hour to hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if it's a really rough day. But I live fairly close to it. Like it's not too bad, to
So
go
that,
down.
yeah,
Like
day trip. Hmm.
yeah, like I can do a day trip down to San Jose or a day trip down to Guild House, like at some point. Like it wouldn't be too big of a deal. Like I went to Fanime earlier this year for one day. I literally winged it. Yeah, I did not expect to go to Fanime this year, even though I spent the weekend last year. But I winged it this year, and I went down there and spent the night at Umar's house, and just and then just went to Fanime, and then that was that. But it's like I can wing something like that if I really want to. It's not the worst thing.
Nice to have a little bit of freedom. A part-time job is great for that purpose because I'd say the not the typical 9 to 5 because that doesn't exist as much for the grocery store people type. I mean, speaking as someone who worked in a warehouse, you were kind of on from any time starting at 5 in the morning until 7 o'clock at night if you wanted to be a quote unquote grinder, but then everyone would kind of look at you sideways if it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you say, I have put in this time notice 3 months ago that I needed to leave early today. And everyone's going, do you have to though? And it's like, oh my gosh, I've already worked like 9 hours and I'm used to normally working 12 at least. This is ridiculous. Let me go home or to my thing, I guess, just speaking from experience. So what I'm saying is, it's nice that you got the part-time thing going. Gives you some flexibility for being able to make last-minute decisions. Yeah, yeah.
Indeed. It's just like part-time is nice. Like, I mean, it's a good starting point because I don't feel comfortable for a full-time yet. I don't think I'd wanna be in grocery like the rest of my life, but for a starting point, it's good. Like, I get to be around people, and like another reason why I just don't mind being just working in grocery right now, I get to get out of the house. Like, I just I get to get out of the house. I get to still interact with people because I'm bagging groceries, and I get to maybe talk to a customer or something like that. Like, it's still very pleasant. And there's even some shifts. I've had a couple long shifts already. Um like right now, like this week, because I have a shift tomorrow from 10 to 3, and then I have another 10 to 3 on Sunday. But like right now I have like a 3-day schedule, which has been really nice. But like one of the days I went from like 2 to 11, so basically I close the shift, which it's a lot, but I'm glad I'm doing it, and also it gives me an excuse to track my steps for a day. And I did 21K on my Wednesday shift, so
That's what's
I'm
up.
like, damn. This is literally my TOing prep for Genesis or whatever, because I swear to God, you walk around so much just
It's a big haul. Yeah.
while staffing a major. You walk around so much, and I'm like, I did this shit for Genesis. I'm surprisingly able to handle it, but I guarantee you the next day I was I was sore and hurting on my legs a bit, but like I don't mind it personally, just because I've done the staffing of a super major before, and that's just as brutal, if not more brutal at times.
There's well, okay, so I don't know. So for bagging, I guess you get to stand a bit more, but there's also like not as much fun things when it comes to how your body reacts to standing for a long period of time. But I think a big thing for the convention halls or for the San Jose Convention Center is it's just basically concrete, and that feels awful after you've walked on it for several hours. And if you haven't been able to sit down and rest, if you have to do what, and Nathan, you described your role to me for Genesis 9. You were helping Bobak a lot, and you were not doing wrangling per se, but you were just kind of filling in gaps where something needed to be done, which involves you
Mhm.
walking from point A to point B all day. So I'm sure you got in quite the amount of steps. Do you think you'll be doing something similar this year, or will it look a little bit different at GX?
Uh, when Bobak and I talked, we've talked like a little bit about. We're still figuring out my role, but it may be to a similar degree of what Genesis 9 was. Maybe a little bit of what I did at GA. Like, I've like talked to Bobak a bit. I mean, we're still figuring it out as we go, but you know, it could be a mix of both. I could still just be like a PA, which is what they designate my role to be in Genesis 9. So I may take up and be that same role again. But it's in the early stages right now, and a lot can change. But I think in some degree it will be something like that. But maybe some TOing sprinkled in or something else new. But like it's still very early to say. But I can at least say that I'll be staffed in some capacity, and I'm looking forward to whatever role I'm in, because there were some fun things about G9, especially the media. Like Bobak said that he'd like me on media again. So who knows? Maybe you'll see some ideas that I've had behind the scenes. Who knows?
I've just enjoyed being able to see you in the first place. So I feel like it's sometimes hard to find certain TOs except for when they are extremely busy, but you had like little teeny bit amount of time that you were able to give me when we ran into each other back in January. Was that January? Whew.
Holy shit, that's long ago.
Genesis 8 was the one that was pushed back into April, and then I
Yeah,
think Genesis 9 did actually hitch off
it
fine.
it actually happened in January that time.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, geez, it's been a while. But hey, that's how time kind of works. So let me get over myself. It was fun to be able to talk to you for a few minutes. It was, I mean, and it wasn't really much more than that for the rest of the weekend, but it's really cool when you make the online relationships happen, then you get to see them in real life. You always just go, oh, it's so cool to see this such and such person down the line. And I'm as equally excited to see you as I would
Hmm.
be to see J Mook winning Genesis 9. That was really cool. But one of the things that I still remember is when we made eye contact and I go, it's my guy.
Yeah, I do. I saw me like, oh shit, it's you.
So big deal for me to be able to do that. Very happy, very thankful. But boy, it's like going to so traveling and staying in sharing a hotel. Not that that's like a huge wear and tear on me. The biggest wear and tear being 3 days of being around so much people noise. I don't know how else to describe it, but when you're surrounded by so many people and you're walking around and going, "Wow, this is amazing," but also this feels very wearing. I think my favorite day of Genesis 9 was when I volunteered at least 4 shifts. I think I did a total of 8 hours on Friday. I did 2 shifts of welcome busing. I told people, you go here, keep moving. And then I let the people who were late for their pools go by because was it Emma who was in charge of check-in? I can't remember.
It was Emre and Venix,
Who,
Jenny.
Emma told
Those
me,
are the
get,
those are the two that usually are in charge of
yeah.
check-in.
Yeah, Emma told me, yeah, you got to get the people who are late for pools in. And I go, well, what if, come on, we got to punish these people. And then I see that's pretty much all top players and a few scrubs, but it's all top players. And I go, right, okay, fine. I'm
Yep.
just helping the problem, but that's okay. I
Gotta give
wanted
them
so
some
badly
rope.
to embrace the chaos, but I was happy to volunteer. It was super fun. And then I did 2 rounds of pools. I did a singles pool and a singles pool again, and I felt so fulfilled and having purpose and given free food and then the top 8 seating. So just on a slight tangent away from what I was getting at, please volunteer at your super majors. It's really fun. But what I'm saying is it kind of gave me the I should be here doing this right now, and it was good for me specifically when I was more of a person kind of drifting around a little bit on Saturday. It felt extra wearing because I'm going, where am I supposed to be right now? I can go anywhere I want. But somehow that is just as stressful as needing to be somewhere to play my melee pools or need to be somewhere to play my 64 pools. And I was like, should I just ask to volunteer again? But I decided not to because I kind of had maxed out on the rewards. But it's all that to say, for you got a lot of things that you had to attend to, get to, and I know that a big part of when the event is over is just realizing I spent months building up to this and now all of a sudden it's over and there's so much to process. I know that like decompressing from that is a big deal for you. So where do you think within that first week after the event, after Genesis 9 was over, what was the thing that you were kind of concentrating on the most in regards to letting yourself expand back into a regular person after being just confined to this one specific role, you know?
I mean, as rare as it is, Bobak and I talked a lot about this. Because this actually dates all the way back to Genesis 8, actually, to kind of backtrack a bit. So after Genesis 8 happened, because we had the postponement, so many things went down. So that's its own story. But afterwards, when Genesis 9, we kind of like treated it as like, okay, we're recovering. Like he told me a lot of insight that like we're still recovering a lot from the Genesis 8 postponement and all the financial hits and everything like that happened. Um, like I wouldn't say we used Genesis 9 as a bridge tournament, but there was already like sprinklings of we're getting set for GX. Like obviously that didn't happen right away. We haven't really hit the ground running until like maybe literally like a few weeks ago. We've actually started to hit the ground running on maybe some things or whatever. But like I
You had it
remember
all in
like
one place. You know, it's no special top 8 show and like
yeah.
the Civic Center. Yeah.
There was so much that happened.
Yeah.
And we both literally, I remember the day when we were cleaning up everything on Monday. I'm like, I can't wait for before we called it GX, I was like, I can't wait for G10. It's like, like that was the first thing surprisingly that was on my mind because like I had known actually about GX's date since August of 2022. So even before G9 happened, I knew that there was going to be a GX. And it's the exact date that Bobak told me that very day in August 2022. So, like, I knew it was going to happen. I already knew it's like, okay, this is already going to happen. So, like, my mind was already set on GX, actually, surprisingly more than anything. Like, my mind was like, okay, do the best I can with GI because just so much went down and everything like that. So much has happened. But like once it was done and I was still like kind of unsure about my future, I was like, okay, GX is like a little over a year out. Gee, this is a long process to really work on myself in that time, and like I didn't really think too much about like the unwinding or decompressing of G9. Like it kind of gradually just happened. It wasn't just all like one week, I hadn't really thought
Oh
about it.
yeah, no, you wouldn't be ready after 1 week.
Like this has taken like it's taken like many months to really figure it out, and like now that GX, it's right on the horizon and we're probably gonna start getting knee deep into it soon. I kind of just I don't know. I kind of just I kind of just thought, okay, what was good about G9? What did I enjoy on my personal standpoint was good. What are some new ideas that I couldn't do at G9 but can shelve and push into GX? Like a lot of ways I used kind of G9 as like a dartboard to see like, okay, what was good about G9 that I hit on the bullseye, but then what missed? And then just like let's just refine it. Like I mean, we like Bobak and I have described it like he's described it's like a machine. We make a couple adjustments to the machine or the car or whatever. We tweak some things, maybe change out the engine or whatever, and then we just go on. We just keep going. It's like a machine. And that's kind of how I'm approaching GX. Like we're just going through it. We're just going through with it. I mean, it's gonna be my third time doing it, so I generally know what the dance is like and maybe what some of the predictable and unpredictable things of what to expect. But I don't know. Like I have just this really different mindset, a much different mindset than I had compared to G8 and G9. It's like a quote unquote mature mindset if you call it that, but just like it's like I've seen this before. It's like this isn't like anything I haven't done. I've done something like this before. It's like okay, what are we doing different this time, or what's the same?
I like that. It also probably helps. It's just you still have Sheridan Ballback. You still have like I imagine without saying everyone's still the same, but it feels like Sheridan Ballback find people that are good for their spots and then help them stay within that spot especially if the person in question wants to be. Not that I can't think of a situation where Sheridan says to someone who goes, "Can I try something new?" and be like, "Absolutely not. No.
Mm-hmm.
Screw that. You have to do exactly as I say." I don't picture Sheridan saying that to anybody, but it's I loved the fact that you came back from G8 into G9 because it was so much turmoil and tossing and turning around to get G8 to go through, especially pushing it back. I couldn't believe that they didn't outright cancel it. I just baby miracles again. Spirit of Melee lives on. So and obviously
That was
Bobak and Sheridan sacrificing a lot to help it happen. But when you think about this upcoming Genesis X, the fact that if I go, get to do the top 8 and the special viewing, the Civic Center, I believe it is called,
yep.
getting to see. I mean, it's not just Melee Smash. It's I feel like every year somehow they add on more bracket events. I think I've been seeing that out of super majors this year in general. I know Big House had several, like it was Street Fighter 6 and several other FGC things specifically on Saturday. But hey, they're
Mm-hmm.
doing it. They're helping other people come in, which does help with getting everybody to go. But well beyond the whole, hey, why am I paying $30 extra for a venue fee when I get to go see Top 8 live. Beyond that, what are some of the things that are on your mind about GX right now, and what do you think will be more pertinent a week away? Just describe to me like the how planning is now, and then rubber meets the road closer to the event, and how you'll be doing both.
Um, we're kind of like in the, at least for me, I'm in kind of like the calm before the storm sort of process. Like, I haven't really done too much. I have some ideas that I've been like slowly kind of just fleshing out, more on the media side, on like, what do we want to do for GX and stuff like that. Like, in terms of me, it's been pretty tame for the most part, but as it gets further along and we start having more meetings, it's gonna pick up. But for the time being, it's kind of like everything's kind of calm, but it's like it's on our horizon right now. We know it's there, and that's gonna come up before we know it. Like before we know it, we're gonna be we're gonna be at GX, and it's like it's here. So like it'll creep up. It'll probably creep up on me and probably many others fast. But right now, it's like we just announced it. We're going through like the red stuff, the hotel stuff. Like it's like we're just starting to get going, and I guarantee you probably November, and then come December, it's gonna all pick up again. And in January probably is gonna be crunch month, and then the first bit of February all the way up until President's Day. Like it's just gonna keep building up. Like the best way to describe it, I don't know if you play roguelites that much often.
No, I do
It's
not.
like, okay, well, there's like a term where it's like, we call it a snowball, where like you get a bunch of good items during a run, and the run kind of just snowballs, and you kind of just plow through certain levels, or through certain quests or whatever of the game.
That's cool.
And that's kind of how I'm describing it, is that like we're on like stage one. We're grabbing our items, seeing what do we have, and depending on what we have, then we go on to the next stage, and we just keep building up off of it, and it just keeps building and building and building until eventually, in this case for us, we hit GX, kind of like the peak of that, and we push through and do the event. That's kind of where my mind is that like it's an early stage right now, but I guarantee you probably when we get to maybe like a week out or something like that, then our mind's going to be set on maybe a bracket change, or maybe like we gotta interview this player or have this player, can this person do this. It'll get into a lot more of the specific stuff, but for now it's like, okay, we're here, we have like all these events and all that, and the hotel stuff and everything is just like it's the early stages to what will eventually be a very grand event.
I'm already. It's just again. I want it to be here now. I really want to go, but it's up in the air. 1,334 current registrants for this event attendees. So
Jesus, it keeps climbing every time I see it.
yeah, and that's a good thing, because you'll hopefully get to a rather large amount of people showing up for titles such as obviously Smash Bros, Ultimate Melee. Do we have 64? Not as a main event. It is what it is. It's a side game. Yeah, can be entered with a spectator pass. Oh wait, that makes 64 more accessible. Okay, never mind. We're all the way back. But then for main events, Rivals of Ether, Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Guilty Gear Strive, and Splatoon 3 4v4. That's just for main titles. It's and obviously all the other stuff that's going to be going on for the side games. And when you walk around, the average person doesn't truly understand all the work that goes into it, the passion with less money than those people, including yourself, ought to be making off of trying to have this event happen. But you got your announcement in on time, allegedly. I mean, not for the end of 2023, because Nintendo's new community guidelines for their community tournaments that they are giving us permission to run. Thank you, Nintendo. I guess we were already doing it,
We
but
love you,
whatever.
Nintendo. We truly love you.
But they said if your event is supposed to happen in 2024, you do need a license. So my quip about announcing it on time is not actually real. That's only for events announced prior to the end of 2023. But that's really comforting. You know, you announced GX a couple weeks ago, and then this comes down the pipeline. So let's talk about Nintendo's guidelines. We all saw somebody said there was community guidelines for tournaments in Japan, and we go, please just stop there. Oh no, there's an EU one. All right, we're gonna see this for North America as well. Sure enough, it comes through. Nathan, what's your reaction to this?
Oh boy. Well, I hit you up. I remember I hit you up prior to the guidelines, and my cat just broke into my room.
See, that's how Nintendo works all of a sudden.
That is how it works, honestly. But pretty much like I don't know. Yeah, he's a very sweet cat.
I love this cat so much. Sorry, please continue.
But pretty much like I don't know. I mean, it sucks. I'm not even gonna deny it. It's annoying. Like I'm more just annoyed. If I'm being honest, I'm just annoyed. I'm like, great, Nintendo's at it again, and it feels like a trend also. And I'm just like, it's like a trend of they're always bugging us around this time of year. I mean, you remember around this time of year, it was the panda stuff and all of that went down and Dr. Allen and that's its own. I swear that's its own can of worms.
Yep.
That can go into. It's like I feel like it's always around this time of year. It's like, oh,
Big
it's
House
Nintendo
Online.
season.
Yep.
It's Nintendo season. What are they doing this time? Oh, they're going for the local tournaments. Nice. Like we're all just kind of. I mean, I don't know. I talked to Bobak a bit about it, and he's just like, I'm just tired of it, and I'm pretty sure anyone that's been around a while kind of agrees that we're just tired of it. It's like I'm just done with it. I'm just like, all right, let's just go and do our thing. If they cease and desist or something like that, and so be it. I mean, like I've joked about it that like they can pull me out in handcuffs at my local tournament Spice, and honestly, I could care less because I think it's absolutely stupid that you're basically going to this degree for people that just want to get a bunch of folks together to play a video game. It seems absurd to me that they go to that degree when I guarantee a majority of us just want to be around people and share something that we're passionate about. In this case, it's Smash. I mean, hell, I don't think something like a podcast like this would exist if there wasn't some sort of passion behind it. So it's like, I mean, like there's a reason why we all gather together. Yeah, like we're all competitor. We may all be competitors or yada yada yada. We want to make a living or something like that out of it. That's all fine and great, but at the end of the day, we also just enjoy being around each other because it's a great, wonderful community. So it's like Nintendo actively trying to prevent that just seems. It's always seemed baffling to me, and it'll never cease to amaze me of the amount of absurdness that they've gone to with stuff like this.
So you also want to see a police officer come? Is that what you're telling me?
That's that comment. That comment from Scar. I know exactly where you're going with that. God damn it.
It went viral on Twitter again. It's timeless.
Some people
thinking that Scar had just made that video about this latest thing and it's going, nope, see, time was a full circle. This was about the last thing.
But it still applies, though.
It applies. Yes.
It literally still applies the exact same way.
So let me see if I can take a swing at this. For someone who's listening to this who may not necessarily be fully educated, and it's tough because we're talking about legality, intellectual property, community desires, wants, and we as a community desire and want different things, and it's not just Melee, it's also every Nintendo game that has a competitive scene. So this includes obviously Smash Ultimate and Splatoon and ARMS. I saw somebody post about it, so I know at least one person likes making or hosting ARMS. And then of course, and that's not even to talk about P plus Smash Remix, obviously Melee, because we're talking about online tournaments too through Slippy, the rollback code that Nintendo can never. So in so many words, Nintendo should have done this a really long time ago, where they draw lines in the sand and say, if you intend on running an event, you have to go into it saying this is not for profit. We have really strict rules and guidelines of how you can do something that essentially will guarantee we don't get involved. Even if you follow all the rules, we can still come in and shut you down, which I don't think is fair from a IRL perspective. Like, how does that make sense that we bought the game, let us do what we want? But it's about controlling the brand, controlling the image. And because of how intellectual property laws are in the United States and probably throughout the rest of the world, but especially in the United States, because that's where the majority of Melee events and Smash events are hosted, without generalizing, obviously other regions do as well, but the majority of events that matter, oh snap, are hosted in the United States, are hosted in North America, and they like, Nintendo has a right, because of end user agreements, because of litigation going to other things, they have a right to say to a big enough event, hey, you are using a game that you did not make, you don't own the copyright to or the intellectual property to, you are twisting it into something that we do not agree with, and so you can't stream it. They can't necessarily tell you you can't play it, because that is what we're ultimately doing, but they can say, well, you're streaming it and you're making money off of it, right? Okay, well, that we didn't give you permission to monetize off of our. So in other words, that's kind of what they say. I will put this in the description. There is a person on YouTube who's made a couple of different videos about how video games and IP laws kind of have to get along, coexist, however you want to phrase it. And the person, I don't actually know what he refers to himself as. It's the Moon Channel. But anyways, I'll get you all the link that you can check out after watching and listening to this entirely long podcast, of course, where he's reacting to the latest news about the about the Nintendo guidelines for community run events, where in so many words, you can't make any money off of it and you have to run it at a loss. And if you want to run the tournament in such a way where you can have sponsors and you can monetize it to the point where the people who run the tournament don't lose money on it, then you must apply for a license. Now, there's where I come in with my takeaway, which is we have seen through people like Anonymous Smasher 2, or just TOs talking about this. So without naming anyone specifically, you can go and look this up yourself. There have been many times where, oh, you know what? Best example, Panda and VGBC, because that's out in the open. Okay, so Panda gets a license to operate a circuit in North America, and Nintendo authorized it, licensed it, and they said, you are good to go. And Panda said, all right, well, let's go ahead and make it happen. And then, as it turned out, VGBC was also looking to do the same thing. They thought, we are going to get shut down because we don't have a license to run the Smash World Tour, which is a circuit not just for North America, but actually the entire world, Smash World Tour. So they reached out to their contact at Nintendo, who said, oh no, things are fine. Just apply for a license and we'll get the ball rolling. For an entire year, it was just apply for a license. We need this info. We need that info. And VGBC kept going and going. And they said, so we haven't been given a license, and it's been months and months, all getting close to a year. And we've been doing pretty well. And we are planning, just no big deal. The biggest event for our calendar year, the Smash World Tour finale, So we're okay because we don't have a license, right? Are we okay? And Nintendo goes, oh yes, of course. No license though. Problem. See, alarm flags going off. Where is the actual license coming down? And what does it cost? Well, we know that all the way back in 2014, when MLG was trying to come back into the Melee scene and they ran a Melee event, MLG 2014 for Melee, Mango won. Mango. Except I think at some point it came out that they were approached by Nintendo who said, you're going to need to drop 50K for every Melee event that you run and stream. Is that part of this whole deal? So my big takeaways being, can the license actually be truly attainable? According to Nintendo, they're going to be dropping forms and methods of applying for licenses, and they've given licenses to tournaments based in Japan already. That's all fine and well. Those are mostly Ultimate events, or no, they're all Ultimate events. What about Melee? What about the US? They're supposedly releasing all this stuff in November. We'll see. And then what is it going to actually take for you to lay off, take away most of the restrictions that you applied to the community tournament? For example, you can't just say there's a hard cap of $10,000 sponsorship money that you're allowed to accept under a licensed event. That is a drop in the water for running a tournament out of a convention center and for running multiple streams. Drop in the water. That is not nearly enough.
Every TO would be in the red at that point. Pretty much every major TO would be in the red if they committed that. And
then that you're not even talking about what do you owe Nintendo in order to be licensed. So even if, speaking by the law, Nintendo has enough things to throw at you to basically have you say, I guess I really am owned. I can't run this tournament because of these things that they put out into the world. And then they go into a nice little C&D letter, whatever it may be. And hopefully not actually taking anyone to court, because Nintendo doesn't actually truly want to do that. They just want to lay down the hammer and have everyone scatter. But I'm concerned about the ease of access to applying for a license, and then what's it gonna cost, and will you actually allow the TOs for big events? And this includes GX, but again, you don't have to we'll just say it now. Nathan's opinions are his own, and then Gommel, Luminosity's events like Let's Make Moves Miami or whatever it may be. Take any, or Big House, which just happened this past weekend. Take any event that has more than 200 entrants, which is a lot of big events. A lot of big events have over 200 entrants. So that applies to all of the majors and the super majors and even regionals. So what are they supposed to do? Is this truly the end of regionals? Thumbnail. No, it's not the thumbnail. We're going to do the thumbnail later, Nathan. And then, of course, one of the things that they say in their community guidelines is you can only use software that Nintendo has made for the purposes of online, which sucks because that the community has come up with a better direct connection from one Switch to another. Of course, assuming that you have an Ethernet cord, because you better, but they have a better online system than the one that Nintendo made. So, but that of course is killing online tournaments for Melee. If Nintendo decides to go to Slippy Sauce, for example, which is near and dear to my heart, not because I play in it, although I should, it's because Petra and the rest of Nova Scotia Melee put so much love and effort into Slippy Sauce, and it's a great vibes. A lot of players who do that, and you're gonna go after Petra for this. So here's the big message, because there's so many other things that I could go into, but whether Nintendo should have done this a long time ago because it mirrors that of other big gaming, Bandai or Epic Games or Minecraft, whoever, whatever it may be, it does follow similar other community tournament guideline stuff, except Nintendo's is the strictest, of course. But we have been burned enough times that it's kind of like it's kind of like me as a parent where I punish my children without explaining to them what they did wrong or how they can do better next time. I just lay down the hammer and they scatter. And then after years of this, I come to them and I say, by the way, here's what you do to avoid the hammer. So, or what, is that it? You're not going to give given a maybe a multi-billion with billions and billions sitting in an offshore bank somewhere. A company doesn't need to apologize to a community that has put so much love and care and time into growing itself against your wishes for all these years, 20 plus years. But yeah, I think you should apologize. And I think you should come forward with not just here are the rules. So you're welcome, I guess. That's 20 years too late. What about the fact that you have cut us off every time we try to do something and succeed at doing something, except for the fact and despite the fact that you, the publisher Nintendo, are existing and are always just kind of like going, yeet. And that leaves a lot of people in Melee, especially, of course all the alt kids are selling out, but a lot of people in the Melee community going, this is not even close to being enough. And how are we supposed to just say, oh great, thanks, we will operate within these very, very strict guidelines and we will feel confident that you'll be good and that you're not gonna come and like cut us off at the legs, because even that is not true. And there's just too many times, it's too many times of being burnt, of having any sort of goodwill and trust. You don't have to go farther back than Panda and VGBC, but you can go farther back. Big House Online, Evo 2013, MLG in 2006 going into 2007 when Nintendo was like, you got to cut that off. We're coming out with a new game though. It's called Brawl. It's going to be the best thing ever. Well, it spawned one of the best mods of all time, but that is the problem. That is the problem. You are presuming so much on Nintendo's part to not even try to offer some kind of goodwill. I don't expect them to hire Fizzy and say all those times where, are bad. I don't necessarily expect that. What would be a realistic expectation? Maybe a realistic expectation can be the following through on making these guidelines available. And then why don't you just spend the first year or 20 years to make up no fees for getting a license, okay? We don't need you, the company, to be like $50,000 and you can't accept sponsorships of more than $50,000. If you're going to give licenses to us and that we can actually apply for and get within a reasonable period of time, then you need to make that free. That's all I have to say. All right, Nathan, your turn.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to dig into regarding this. Like, I mean, the first thing is my concern has always been the local scene, and I saw that you changed the I want to see a police officer. I think it's really funny to use the Bobby Scar out of context. But basically, like, I mean, they just need to leave us alone, really. Like, leave us alone for a bit, because historically they've burnt us at every turn. So we have no reason to trust them to begin with. And even if we were to trust them, who knows what the fuck they'll do with us. Like, they can do tons of different things and stretch us in a lot of different directions in terms of the community and what we want or what we desire or whatever. Like, there's so many things that it can it can just do to us. And I just think, like, I don't know. I mean, I think you said it pretty well on, like, they had to kind of play by our rules. And I think Scar said this in his rant back in late 2022, where it's basically, let us do our own thing. We're gonna do our own thing, and if you want to kind of learn and we can kind of like find a mutual agreement upon something, then we can go from there. But with the way the relationship is right now with us and Nintendo, it's probably it's not a good relationship to say the least. And I mean, I'm pretty sure like people at the highest of stuff like a Juggle Guy, a Ballback, or a Sheridan, they probably have even more insight on the most of that stuff. But I mean, for us and from what we've seen as outsiders or whatever sources we've gotten, it's they're actively trying to hurt us at every turn where we could have potentially made a lot more money and really monetize the scene, but Nintendo's just there blocking us at every turn. And every time we've tried to, we've had to either reroute our energy into doing something else, like the backlash on Evo and Evo 2013 to, to uncancel the tournament, or to make it to where we can still stream the tournament, or like you mentioned before with Big House Online, and then thus spawning 5 days of Melee. It's like there's so many other instances where we basically, whenever this cease and desist happens or wherever Nintendo tries to do, we somehow find a way to just like change the direction a bit. It's like this is a bump in the road. We still find a way to get around it, but it's just, at least for me, I'm just like annoyed. I'm not even just like like to some degree, yeah, I am devastated because I'm just like, God damn it, it's like, what are they trying to hurt this time? But it's just, we're just trying to do our own thing, and it sucks that, at the end of the day, we're here to play a video game, and it sucks that we're being told that we can't play it this way because for whatever reason. I guess you were supposed to. I guess you can only play a video game a certain way according to a developer's eyes, which I think is a really dumb logic if you think about it, especially as someone that's done some sociology research regarding this. And to use a sociology term, we're doing expansive like gameplay. We're yeah, with like imposing our own rules. Like there's imposed rules, and then the game that it gives you. It's called fixed rules and imposed rules. I'm now remembering this from my sociology research. And a lot of the stuff that we've done as a community is imposed rules. Like the imposed rule of no stalling or no wobbling or a ledge grab limit and all that. That's all imposed rules. But things that are fixed rules, like the stocks that we have, which is 4 stocks, the timer that we have is 8 minutes, and the stages that we have, the 5 stages that we have, those are all or 6 stages. I'm brain farting right now. Why am I brain farting? But
you got 5 starters and a counter pick. Yep.
Yeah, but basically, like you have those are all fixed because they're within the game, but then we impose certain things upon it, and that's why I think it's really dumb that they're trying to do that, because they're basically trying to force everybody into doing fixed rules, and I'm just like, from a sociology perspective, I'm just like, this is really dumb that they're trying to do this. Like that's how you take out the enjoyment of people when they try to play games, and I just think it's stupid that they're trying to do that. If I'm being honest, it's just not a wise decision.
I mean, when I made banana bread for my lovely wife Jen, and I said, take this to your thing tonight, that she was going to, because I made it so that she could take it along, and like the other people that were going, the other ladies that were going, they could all have banana bread, and I make pretty good banana bread. But while it was still really warm, Jen cut pieces out of it, and it crumbled and got ugly looking because it was too warm. It stuck to the knife. It was heartbreaking. And yet I have to remind myself that once it goes into the world, people going to do what they got to do. No, we want you to play the game. Well, not like that, actually. It is tough. And we are not just simply trying to play a game. We are also hoping that the people who spend an entire year not like lost in the sauce of planning a super major, but for the biggest tournaments where one small little thing going wrong can lead to a $100,000 loss, we want those people to feel like they can actually do that and be supported financially. The community is big, but no, we're not going to all pay like an extra $100, because 5,000 times 100, I guess is that 50 or $500,000? That's still not enough. So like
it's like the money gets up there. Bottom line, it gets up there.
It would be theoretically it would be so easy. Oh, well, I guess according to this anonymous poster,
Mhm.
Skibidisamy, who dropped
What a name.
all these little marketing things. Did you see this thread? The most wild thing at the end was saying, "It's my understanding that the guidelines being posted today for Nintendo Japan, UK, and soon Nintendo America were always going to be implemented. Behind the scenes events like SmashCon ignoring a Nintendo C and D for their
Mhm.
2023 event may have led to escalation." That's an interesting
I
thing. Did you?
I think I vaguely saw it, but I didn't read too much in detail. But it's like there's like so many like mysterious things that like I think
I want to see
I'd
that letter.
imagine now like when you hear stuff like that, that there's probably gonna be more evidence. Honestly, like I don't see why there wouldn't be more evidence. Now if who knows that could have led to it. It's like now it's like I guarantee you probably more questions are going to be answered with time. I mean, I've
Yes,
heard that like with the ultimate side of things, the Japanese tournament Umbra, which is like I think the biggest Japanese ultimate tournament that they have, got accepted and stuff like that. I have a good connection to Watch, who's the Japanese TO over there.
mm-hmm. Watch
Like
is the homie.
I love Watch.
Yep.
But basically, like I think like it's like interesting how Japan is handling it, and I mean, it just I don't know. I have just like more questions than answers, if I'm being honest regarding it, because how badly are they gonna want to crack down on this? That's the first thing. Are they gonna use? I mean, I guess a hypothetical example. Are they gonna use nightclub to make an example of? Are they gonna use Guildhouse to make an example of? Are they gonna use mid lane melee? Like, there's a lot of those questions. Pretty popular tournaments that you see on a weekly basis,
That
for
do
your
more
respective
than a certain
scenes.
amount of prize pool every year that would be cap,
Yeah,
like you would exceed the caps that are put
the
out for the
function.
community guidelines. Yes, yeah, even function. I mean, no John's 3 in Philly, I don't think it had over 200 entrants, but between
Mhm.
ultimate and melee it did.
Yeah, it's like what do you do then? Like, I mean, I feel like I just don't know how they would approach it. I don't know how strict it would be. It's just I feel like you can't really I feel like only time will tell. I mean, certainly I think a lot of the community were irritated about it, and I mean justifiably so, but I don't know where you go. I mean, I mean, I know what I'm doing. I'm still gonna run Spice or any other event I've done, like I always do. And if Nintendo goes and says something about it, then we go from there. Whether I tell them, no, screw you, I'm gonna run my shit how I want, or whatever. Like, I think it's really just gonna be we're gonna have to chug along and see. I don't think there's a real like good answer to say out of this.
We're gonna feel the effects of this for the next 2 years. It'll be a figure it out situation. I think the biggest
Hmm.
thing that Nintendo, in my mind, is most likely to crack down on would be Hungry Boxes, Coin Box first and foremost. But then
Yeah,
other online tournaments in general. If you
Gallant
get
Melee Open.
if you have any of them that are being streamed, if they're being streamed, which most of them are, then that's something. So I don't think Nintendo would necessarily do Start GG Melee Online. And maybe we just start saying that they're, in person. And no
I don't
one,
know how.
no one says, wow, they are playing so well versus each other in person. This gameplay looks so flawless anyway. Of course, no one can make net play as good as this. We certainly have not tried because we have Windows 97 compatible with our online system. Looking at you, Nintendo. So they would probably not cap down on a 5, 10, 20 person online event with no prize pool and is not being streamed. But again, Coinbox would be the most obvious example. And then any other, I mean, Only News is still streamed if I recall correctly. Any of those kind of events, what's going to happen to those? If they go by the wayside, well, we certainly won't get to see Slippy Champions League come back. But not that we were going to see that in the first place, but
Yeah.
we certainly will not see a return of that, even if we get more pandemic stuff down the line. Just the usual amount of things to worry about. No big deal. You're right. We will not have answers to most of the questions that we posed. And I will just say, just for the record, I don't know how many of these things have been corroborated, but from the things that Dr. Allen said in terms of numbers, I mean, the sponsorship money seems to be legit enough. So, you know, the slides look legit, but who knows? I think it's tough, but the anonymous Smasher 2 stuff, I mean, I've never heard any big TO go against that. One or two being like, that sounds about right. Like, so without giving too much credit to this created October 2023 having ass account, don't want to give it too much credit. Take it with a grain of salt as you will. The big thing right now is wait to see when these license applications come through. Let us all look at them. That would be another thing. How annoying would that be if they put that behind a wall? That'd be the dumbest thing ever. Like, you have to send an NOA or NDA to even look at it. I would like to say no. Press the no button to that. See, again, this is that you want to build goodwill with us. It is not you presenting very, very strict community guidelines and then being like, good talk. Make those accessible. Let everybody be able to take a gander at it. We are a community that wants to have some real clairvoyancy here and communication. And this entire time, Nintendo, and their minds rightfully so, have been hiding behind that shadowy, faceless enemy shield, mixing in bad news with a new DLC character announcement or Super Mario Wonder coming out within the past week.
Mario Wonder comes to mind when I think of this. It's like, it's always in light of like, they do something really sketchy as this, but then they go and release Mario Wonder or something like truly great on their end. And it's just like, it gives you just like this mindset and just this attitude of, you got to be fucking kidding, Nintendo. Like, really?
And where's the gamer who is savvy with it, who has been in the Nintendo of America office since 2005 and is now finally worked up to the point where they're in a meeting with the person who really makes the decisions and goes, hold on a minute. There's a lot of people that this decision that you are making without really thinking about the ramifications of will have ramifications, and we can make this so much easier on ourselves if we just tried a little bit, because I know all the old kids would eat that up. For Melee people, it's going to take a little bit more, but I don't think it's actually that hard to go far enough in this to get all the Melee people to be like, okay, it would not take you, Nintendo, giving us like $1 billion, even if you could. And even then I would actually be like, really though? Oh, it's all in Bitcoin.
It's all crypto money.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, by the way, you can't have crypto money, by the way. It's a sponsor, but you know, we'll give it to you because
that's what killed Coinbox.
Yeah. Yeah, the crypto angle, I mean, it's somewhere in the guidelines it said something about cryptocurrency based companies, but anyway, they're not going to do this whole clairvoyancy thing in my mind, but we shall wait and see. Thankfully, though, stuff like Battle BC6, they said, yep, we are still around, going to be continuing on as planned, and we will extend the early bird registration another week, which is cool. GX only extended it by 24 hours, but that's okay. And that they have an overnight venue, so all is forgiven. Plus the Civic Theater. I just want to go so badly. I just don't know.
We can always do so much, okay?
Yes, I know. And you already got over 1,000 people to register, and the other 4,000 will be coming along in good order. Genesis is that event. J-Mook winning Genesis 9 just kind of like cements it once again. Like, the magical things happen, and of course AMSA winning Big House 10 was magical as well, but we all were rooting quite hard for J-Mook. There was just a year of heartbreak and second places. And AMSA is looking around going, I've been entering events since Evo 2013 and in the United States, and I've been closer than ever. And why is everybody rooting for this guy who's been here for 5 minutes? Well, also, J-Mick has been playing for about as long as the documentary came out, just not
He's
on the big
he's been around
stages.
a while. He's
Like
been around the block.
SmashCon 2017 or 2018 with like a 33rd or a 49th whatever finish, and that was the only one until all these online tournaments, which again, you just that'll probably be the first thing to go. It's unfortunate. All right. You have been doing something that Nintendo said, third party controller stuff. We really don't want, but you've been getting into the box a little bit. So
Yes.
you want
I
to
actually
talk
have
about
it on
that?
me. Yeah, so I was loaned this just to I'm basically borrowing it. This is not going to be my permanent box, but the Cards NG, who's a UCI Peach player, moved up to NorCal. He's lives in Berkeley now. He has loaned me his backup box, and I've been learning it. I think I'm about 2 weeks in. I think about two to 3 weeks in on this thing, and it's been really fun to learn. I've really enjoyed learning. It's a new way to play, because to be honest, I got bored. I got kind of bored. Maybe it's because I've been on controller for almost a decade. I got kind of bored. I need a new challenge. I've like heard that just like the box is a completely different skill set that you can learn.
Mm-hmm.
There's different strengths and different weaknesses. Like you don't have the analog stuff like you do on controller, but you may have crazy smash DI. You may have crazy ASDI down. Like
Mm.
you may dash better and be more consistent at that. Like
Dash back
there's
out of
so
crouch.
many different there's so many different things really that you can learn or do on this thing. Um I've seen some of the big advantages it's had already, like slide ups have become way easier on it. But I could see some of the drawbacks, and maybe it could just be me having my inexperience or whatever. Like, I still see it as a different way of playing Melee, personally. Like, it's a different way of playing Melee, personally. I think my opinion will change over time as well as I learn how to use the rectangle, and utilize its potential and what's capable of and such. But I I just enjoy it right now. It's allowed me to relearn the game again. And as somebody who's been pretty competitive for a while, like, I mean, I've been able to beat top 100 players and top 50 players on controller. It's like I get to go back to having no expectations and just learning the box and learning how to play the game. I may have years of experience under my belt, but this is a completely new experience. And I get to basically kind of what I did at the beginning of 2023 for my personal life. It's like a full reset. It's like, all right, we're resetting, we're doing everything new. Maybe there's some things that stay along, like I don't know, maybe my wisdom and experience that may stay. That's probably gonna stay along because I've known melee stuff about melee for a long time. But in terms of me learning this thing, it's gonna be just it's way different. It's a much different beast. And like maybe ergonomically, if I get my own rectangle, there could be small changes I make on it. Like I would definitely first thing I would mention is I would move like where the C stick is, which is like where the C buttons, which is right here. I'd move these like slightly more to my left because I have to like crunch my hand in
Yeah,
order to hit. I don't know if you can see it. I have to like crunch my hand in
mm-hmm.
order to hit like
I know what you're saying though.
C button the C hit C button right because otherwise like it'd be hard. It's hard for me to do like a knee or a back air doing that. It's just like little things. It's like I guarantee you, as I get more the hang of this thing, I will maybe I'll have somebody make my own rectangle and stuff like that and go from there. But I've enjoyed this process because it's a new way to play the game. Um, I feel like I can be a beginner again and not feel bad about it. Like I can apply a lot of the things that I still learned while I was on controller, but have a new spin to it because we're on rectangle. Like, there's a lot of different things. Like, it's a drastically different playing experience if you were to playing from controller and then going to rectangle. You're gonna see some things a lot differently. And as someone early on in it, I've really enjoyed this sort of change of pace because I'm seeing something new every day that I can do. I'm like, oh, that's possible on this thing, or maybe I can go and ask these box users that have been playing a while these questions. I can use the modifier to turn around or something like that. Like there's a whole lot of new, and that's what's nice about it. And new is always like it can be a very refreshing thing, and it's the most refreshed I've felt about playing Melee. Like it doesn't feel like it's a chore anymore to just keep grinding. You know, when you're trying to look for that one breakthrough. I don't feel like I'm having it with this thing. It's like, oh, I'm grinding and it's like, oh, I can do this thing, or I'm doing my tech skill more consistently. There's a lot of good things about it, and I've enjoyed learning this thing. And to say, I don't know if I'm making the full transition yet, but if you were to give me any sort of number right now, I'm like 60 to 65% sure I'm probably gonna make the full transition at the moment, just based on how much I've enjoyed it, a lot of the things I'm figuring out with it, and just the entire process of it. Because if I were to make the full transition, I can't just half-ass it. I have to go full on through if I'm gonna be anywhere I was before when I was on control or something like that. It's like if I were to commit to it, I had to commit to it full on. That's kind of my stance on it.
As a box user who has not, not even gotten close, it's just I really like the consistency angle.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been the most precise control stick person, so you press buttons and they do what they're supposed to do. That's really nice, especially for angles on Firefox. But I mostly just enjoy when I try to do dashback, I succeed. And it is just I gotta be brutally honest about it. When I play on regular GCC for any character but Fox, because I only play Fox on my rectangle box controller, but I play the other characters just like it's all casual for the most part. Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
I do not practice enough or at all, but I play on GCC and I miss my dashback. I know why, because my thumb is not as fast as it ought to be. It's unfortunate. So again, for me, it's consistency. I love to hear how you're. I mean, what's really fun is discovering all these things because you have knowledge about the techniques in the first place. You're just discovering how to do it on a different controller, but then in a couple of days, you're wave dashing. Now, would it take you only a couple of days to wave dash properly on a GCC? Maybe it would
Mm-hmm.
be just a matter of 30 minutes. I don't know. It depends on again like how you're doing it, and that applies to a litany of it's L cancels, it's slide offs. You said slide offs were
Mm-hmm.
easier for you on the box. All these different advanced techniques, and you know about all of them because you've been playing Melee for such a long time. So you go like you pick up the controller and you're dash dancing on a platform because you're getting a feel of dash dancing on a platform, which was not always easy for me to do with the GCC, and then going, oh, shield dropping. I should try shield dropping. I should see how. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Like instead, you'd been playing Melee for how long, and somebody said you should probably shield drop, and you go, huh? Like you probably didn't know about that within the first 6 months of playing Melee, or maybe you
No,
did because you were on SSBM tutorials. I won't.
they didn't exist. They didn't exist yet, actually, when I started playing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
See, there you
I had to
go.
learn a lot of that stuff. Like it wasn't until like maybe a year or two after. So it's like I had a much different experience learning that stuff.
Mm. So nice to hear that you're. I mean, like again, like this is it's not like Nintendo's going after third-party controllers or anything. You got a long life of possible playing on box ahead of you, and GCC is always there until they stop making them, and that's how they choke us out as well. Again, let's look at, oh, and what if Evo applies for a license? By the way, have we talked? What if Evo applies for a license? Would they not give it to the money's green? I mean, that would be an example of
I mean,
someone who could
it's partially owned by Sony. I
Still,
highly
I'm
doubt it.
applying for a license. You know what? How easy is it to apply for one? Evo should be able to apply for a license and get one. I'm just saying. Gosh.
Yeah, it's on the table. You're not wrong. It's on the table.
You know, that'd be so funny to me if there was a video of Doug Bowser just kind of like, I need this. We're really happy that Ultimate is at Evo 2024 this year. But fuck Sony. And then just the video ends.
That'd be savage as fuck if you think about it. Like that reminds me of like a what is it the 299 thing? If you remember the 299, what Sony did to Sega back in the 90s.
Yeah, I do not.
Okay. Maybe it's just because I'm a retro video game nut, but basically like the Sega was announcing the Sega Saturn, and it was $399, and Sony goes up in their presentation, and they're just like $299 as the price tag for the PlayStation 1.
Wait, no,
left.
I know what you're talking about. Yes, I love that. Yes, sorry. If you'd showed me the video, it would have been like, these guys were
Yeah.
definitely feeling gangster that day.
They were definitely feeling gangsta, and they were just like, yeah, we got this in the bag. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I feel like that's just kind of that's gonna be the theme, just in general for a lot of people in Smashes. What does Nintendo do? And like they can, will they take away the rectangles? Like, would they take away the fobs? Would they take away the Goomways? I feel like again, it goes back to what we were saying. There's more questions than answers, and it's gonna be. We're probably gonna be talking about this, and maybe an ongoing thing that we're gonna have to handle and go through throughout the rest of this year, and probably the most of 2024, whether we like it or not.
Unfrozen Stadium is all the way back. I'm happy about that.
It probably is. If you think about it, it probably is. It would not surprise me. I don't know yet what our ruling is for GX, but it wouldn't surprise me if I think Unfrozen Stadium makes a return just based on recent events and everything that's going on. So it's like, we don't know. Again, we don't know. And we'll see what kind of wrenches get thrown into the mix.
You want to talk about some IRL stuff?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. Calling this one IRL stuff. All right, let's start with a little bit of me. I was talking about basically being busy. I have 2 nights a week dedicated to sporting. I play pickup basketball on Monday nights, and I have Ultimate Frisbee League on Friday nights. We have a little break between the seasons here, but I need to like stay active in some capacity. Otherwise, my legs are going to be all the way back on. I mean, I've been building up my legs for Ultimate Frisbee Field's so big. And people throw better than they kick. In soccer, you could get away with not so much in Frisbee. You got to run around pretty much the whole time. I can't Lionel Messi it the whole time.
Just stand there.
Can't really do that. So I've been getting closer and closer every week, but yeah, we're gonna be off for a month. We missed the playoffs, so yeah, we got a month to for me to continue to try to stay active with sprints and sprinting again and doing it again and doing it again, because that's what it basically is. You stop and go quite a bit in Ultimate Frisbee. So that's 2 nights a week that I'm dedicating to that. Every other Wednesday I got a thing. And so there's just evenings where I would normally be down to record or able to record, and all of a sudden not able to do, or I don't want to usually have a night like tonight where I've played a Frisbee game, I've showered, I've stretched, and now I'm here. I am happy now that I am here, but when I saw your reminder about tonight, I go, that's right. I did plan. Yeah. That was a good reminder, but boy, it's an hour and a half away, and I have an hour and a half to think about how it's an hour and a half away, but we're here now. So I'm super happy, but it's that mind stuff. And then I'm continuing on with the whole staying at home as a dad thing. I have Ellie and Ezra, Ellie in particular doing school. Ezra doing his version of school as a 3-year-old, which is just, if Ellie's doing school, he wants to draw. So like
Cute.
that's taking time and effort and energy. It's to do it properly, to give Ellie the feeling of this is fun and not a chore, because school for me was always a chore. So I've been really growing as a this is fun person, really growing in that area. It's been a lot of me saying to myself, this is fun, because as a child myself, I was always like, this school thing is kind of whack, and making sure that Ellie feels that as well, because children pick up on your emotions, especially parent to child,
Mhm.
child to parent. So if she senses that I'm not having a good time because I want to not have a good time, so I gotta really make sure I'm on top of it. Anyway, so schooling, and then was there anything else? Yeah, just getting more involved with stuff outside of Melee makes me feel bad about not being as consistent on this platform of podcasting, which I really do enjoy still, but I don't have as much energy for it as I used to. So it's that weird thing where I want to do it, but I don't have enough bandwidth to do it. I think that's what it mostly comes down to. So, like I said, shutting down the Patreon because I can't deliver on what I feel is like valuable stuff to the subs. But I'm also simultaneously happy that I'm doing that because I get to kind of return to this when I want to. I don't know. I kind of thought about starting a new podcast that has an idea of we'll get to it when we can idea, but
Mhm.
I think this podcast is going to be good for that now that I've sort of switched it around. Hopefully I'll get Fizzwiggle and other people onto the podcast still, because Hada wants to do that and or wants me to do that, and I obviously want to have Evan on at some point. Shouts to Fizz, the Mango Slayer, but I don't have as much energy for it as I used to. What about you over there, Nathan? What's some IRL stuff that I know you do walking aside from at the store? You're doing like walks otherwise. You're getting your steps in, but what else is going on for you IRL?
I mean, mainly just having a social life, pretty much.
Whoop,
Like,
whoop.
um, uh, to say my social life has just gone up, it's an understatement. I mean, well, my best friend from high school, who was actually my original practice partner, he came back home from Japan. He studied abroad in 2022, and then he came back home in August or September. I'm trying to remember. Right, he came back home recently, and we've been playing games together again. We've been playing Sea of Thieves, CS2, um, uh, playing a lot of different games as well. Like, I'm actually I've always been like a bit of like a racing fan, a NASCAR fan, and it's a good time to be one, because if you've heard of iRacing, they recently acquired the NASCAR rights to make a NASCAR sim for 2025, and it's the first time as a NASCAR fan I have hope. I'm like, yes, there's hope as a NASCAR fan for something. We are not absolutely in a shit show like we used to be, and
Mm.
it's gotten me back into playing all the old NASCAR games before things went really bad. So, in the case right now, binge playing NASCAR '06 and trying to do the career mode. I'm just like, okay, I'm having fun with this, and it's funny. It scratches the TOing itch a bit because you get to own your own race team and like manage your own operation of the drivers on your team and stuff like that. So I mean, it's like really cool. It's kind of like it's a bit of a tangent, but it's like that's been my big hyperfixation at the moment. And then obviously learning the box, and then just journaling a lot. Actually, I've been journaling since August of 2022, but I've been doing it almost daily. I would say. Like, I mean, it's funny. I literally the bookmark just fell out of it. I've been this is now my second journal I've been on. So
Ah.
I finished my first journal. I don't know if you can see it, but um, it's from this is from October 2023. So I just started this second journal. The first journal I think I have, is it? It's somewhere back there. I know I have it somewhere. But oh yeah, here it is. It's in green. But basically, like this is from August 2022, and then it lasts until October 2023. So like, I've been journaling a ton just in this time. You know, whether it's my personal thoughts, other events going on in my life, you know, other passions or whatever. You know, venting, definitely a lot of that. But just like, it's been really good. It's been really good. It's been really healthy. It's helped me with just getting my thoughts down and like all that. I've met some really great friends along this year, you know, both old and new. Um, like it's been nice to reconnect with my original high school circle again, to see people that got me into Smash actually, which is funnily enough. So it's like I can still talk Melee with them because they've seen me literally from the legitimate very beginning. So it's been very neat in the sense that like I can still like reconnect them, and even though none of them really play Melee much anymore, I can still mention Melee to them because they still follow it. So it's like I can still talk Melee stuff with them. It's like it's been this nice healthy mix, and then there's still a bunch of people like you know, SF from Melee Stats. I talk with him quite a bit, and then a good chunk of the NorCal Melee people. We have a pretty just good set of people that
A
I just
special
like
soul
hanging
Danny
around.
is.
Yeah, I love that stuff for the reason. But it's been really good. I mean, I and I repeat, try to work out 5 to 6 days a week, but that
Ooh.
doesn't always happen because life and stuff happens. But it's been good. And then I would say still a bit of an anime watcher. Like let's see, I watched the entirety of Chainsaw Man. I let's see, what else have I watched? I did watch the Castlevania anime, which honestly I should probably finish because it is almost the recording of this. It's almost Halloween, so I should probably get to finish. Yeah, I only did the first 2 seasons.
It's
Uh,
from the very beginning of Castlevania, you mean? So
uh,
The Netflix thing, I mean, that's been on for years. They did 4 seasons of
yeah,
that. So you're doing that into like the new series that they started recently.
I have not watched the new series yet.
So that's what you're doing. You're starting from the beginning of the Netflix stuff
Mhm.
and getting up to that point. Just
Yeah,
wait
I'm
till you
getting
see
up.
season 4. Oh, I go
See,
back and
don't spoil it. I have
no,
only seen the first two
no. I
seasons.
know, I know. I am cleverly not saying anything, but just you wait. It's glorious.
I
Anyway,
need to see what happens because I know I think the dynamic is really interesting with Alucard now, where I'm at right now, and it's like I don't want for viewers watching. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's like I'm curious what happens to Alucard now after seeing the events of season 2.
mm-hmm. Yep. No, I mean it definitely. It challenges my ability to keep watching because sometimes I'm just like, this is a lot, but yeah, I I always felt like when I would watch, it would always kind of land on its feet, even if there was something about the season that I was not 100% fond of. I always felt like it kind of landed on its feet, and then season 4, glorious. So you know how there's some shows where you watch the whole thing and then for the final season, and I guess for the final episode in particular, but mostly the final season doesn't have that kind of payoff. So Game of Thrones fans know this, and I'm not one
Oh
of
no.
them, but I heard after every single episode of season 8, not good, this is trash, I didn't like this, what are we doing? And like not everybody's got the sauce for the final season and final episodes of shows. They just don't know how to finish it. And
What's the closure, basically?
yeah, and you know there's gonna be examples like even The Office didn't land on its feet all that well. It
Oh,
got the last episode right, but most of season 9, if that was the last one, I mean, season 8 was a disaster. Season 9 was like fine, but they already knew kind of going into it that they needed to step it up a little bit so that people would
mm,
post about it on Twitter and get more viewers because season 8 was just a hot mess for The Office. Anyway,
hmm
I love shows that land on their feet for the finale episode. It's cool that there's a new series out, but since I don't have a Netflix subscription, I haven't been able to get into the new series of Castlevania, but I want to because I also need to watch the last season of Better Call Saul, which Obviously, I liked all the other seasons of Better Call Saul, so hopefully that is good too. IDK. But when you watch a show that lands well on its feet for the final season, in particular the final episode, you are rewarded for all of your hard work binging it, because
Yeah.
then sometimes you just get to the towards the end and you go, I've been watching this entire show for nothing. I can't believe they're
Yeah.
doing this to my character, or I can't believe this is the direction they're going in as a whole, or whatever the case may be. There's so many ways to do it wrong, and of course there's been many shows that have found ways to do it wrong. So I'm glad that you're watching it. You will not regret it. I'm glad that you're watching it through it.
Yeah, I mean it's been great. I love the characters. Trevor Belmont is great. I love how they portrayed him. Sypha is awesome. I like how they portrayed her. Alucard's great, and Dracula. I love how they did up Dracula in this. I mean, they really made him like they made him a villain, but it's like you understand why he's the way he is, and I'm like, it's like an evil, but it's a good type of evil. It's like okay, you understand why he's evil and why he feels this way.
Great way to start the whole show, like on Dracula, like,
Yeah.
And of course I think that makes sense to do, but they pulled it off really well. Even like in the first episode, you just like, you understand so many things.
It's like damn, that's why Dracula is the way he is. And I'm like, okay. And a lot, and and like some of his buddies or whatever, they'll be like, they question him or something like that, and it's like, you don't question Dracula. I mean,
don't mess with the OG.
don't mess with that man, because he'll take your blood and then some. But I mean, it's been good. Like, I mean, I've just been diversifying myself a lot. That's been the main thing. Like it's been like I can tell, just like I've been just doing a lot of things just healthier. It's hard to really put into words sometimes, but just like it's been a drastic turnaround from where I once was, say, like a year ago. Like it's been a really good year on many fronts. Unfortunately, as a hockey fan, that's the only thing. As a hockey fan, the San Jose Sharks, we're not doing very great. We're currently on an 8-game losing streak. Start the season.
Wow, that's not good. I'm not a hockey person, but I know losing streaks like that is vibes are bad right now in San Jose. That's unfortunate. Armada went to see that team. Did they not know that there's greatness that went to see? Anyway,
I mean, he did see them win, so there's that. But I mean,
are we getting Armada back for GX here? There's a question that you probably don't want to answer.
That's the first time I've been asked this, and I'll be honest, I don't know yet, and I probably don't have the power to really say like where we go with that. I mean, that's a Bobak and Sheridan thing to decide and figure out, but that's a we'll see type of thing. He may be at GX, he may not be, so I can, we'll see where it goes. I mean, we're still very early in that type of process.
And just as important, will Pew Pew You be back at, I think the answer is yes, but for commentary especially,
probably yes.
I mean,
probably yes, he'll be back, but I don't know about commentary.
Oh, that breaks my heart. Doubles commentary was like so top heavy. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Looking at Toph, Armada, Pew Pew, and Brandon. Are you kidding me? Or was Scar? No, was it Scar or Brandon? Hold on.
Bob Money.
Bob Money was doing it. Oh my gosh, I feel so bad.
My melee teacher.
I need to get Bob Money on the podcast, and I won't forget these crucial details. Gosh, I feel so bad.
He has tons of wisdom, and I mean, to say a lot of my fundamentals in terms of learning this game, a lot of it a lot of it goes to him. So I mean, if you somehow reach out to him in any capacity to get him on or whatever, I definitely would recommend, because I've done so much with Bob Money. I mean, like he's a really great dude to have around, and also like I'm pretty sure he can offer you just so much insight. And I think it's good to see, like, and it's great to see old school people like him around, because he's been around since the MLG days basically.
MLG days? That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's been around forever.
That is such a lot. I see. These are my favorite kind of people to discover. That I somehow did not know. I think Bob Money was talking to somebody on a podcast of some kind that I have seen. So I have to go back and rewatch that because I feel like I should have remembered that crucial information because that's a big deal. Like I just, when I got to interview Kish Prime and Kish Squared, for example, it's really cool. They're still around. They don't do stuff heavy on Melee anymore, but I bet you they could tell you all kinds of thoughts about this whole Nintendo license thing because they tried to go legit even all the way back in 2012, and Nintendo was like, you really shouldn't be talking to us because we don't like what you're doing. And Kish Prime is going into real adult stuff by then and having kids and a family and stuff and going, boy, do I want to be underneath a 200K rock for the rest of my life or not? And that's, it's an easy decision, but they'll still talk to the common folk, or they'll at least talk to me because I pester them. But anyway, it's cool to talk to people who were back from the MLG days. Matt Daza being another example.
Yeah, I mean, just like you get so much wisdom. Really, you get so much wisdom from it because they probably have seen it all. I mean, that's why I always will have an appreciation for like truly like people that are back from the MLG days. It's funny, like I don't know why I'm bringing up Survivor in this, but like I knew Ken actually when he was on Survivor before I found out he was a Smash player. It's so funny now because I just watched like a mini video essay about his Survivor run, and I'm like, man, like I don't know why it's a bit off topic. I'm just like, man, like, we really had the best Smash player in the world on Survivor. That's pretty freaking cool.
That's so cool. Yeah. And he did well. People didn't like him and were like, yeah, that's right. That's our guy.
But that's the thing. And the more I see it, because now I've been in the community a long time, I'm like, I see all the Ken stuff he's done. I'm like, dude, this is just Ken is literally just being a smasher, and he's just on Survivor. Like he's
that's
doing
a normal Tuesday.
It's like I see Ken, I'm like, dude, this is just Ken being Ken.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's really funny, but like, I mean, those types of players, like, there's so many funny stories like that I've heard. Amongst like Bob Money, Bobak, Sheridan, and all them, like they've told me some funny tales on the Smashboard stories or just like funny tournament stories, whether it's band stages or carpool adventures. I think one of the funniest ones I've seen was or that Bob Money told me was that like they went to they were going to a tournament, and I think they went to pick up Bobak, and he was just busy playing World of Warcraft or some shit like that. It was something really funny, but just like like those types of people, like they've probably known each other half their lives, maybe more. So it's like gonna get some really funny just tales amongst that set of people, and I just think, to me, I think it's cool to see. Like, I know this just came out recently, but Mango and Lucky just had their podcast come out. And I haven't watched an episode yet, but I imagine it's going to be very entertaining just because they've been around a long time, and they probably have done more things than anyone can imagine in terms of those two just being around each other, just being knuckleheads and whatnot.
You want to hear something funny? It's only funny because Big House has actually happened. I watched it before Big House. And Lucky was saying how confident he was feeling about his bracket at Big House and being like, they disrespected me. They seeded me to finish just out of top 64. But guess what happened?
He finished outside top 64.
65th place, baby. he's like, I'm not really grinding on Slippy so much as grinding at IRL stuff. Like I'm going to a couple of locals a week, and I'm competing with Kador, and I'm competing with Fiction, I'm competing with like whoever happens to be there. Also Koopa Troopa, shout out to Koopa Troopa 695.
That
I
dude's
think
insanely good.
Right. And then lost the spark, and for a top 64 loser side qualifier. It's tough.
And Ralph beat him too. Score one for NorCal.
Ooh.
Ralph beat him, dude. Score one for NorCal. Ralph beat him.
Also, shout outs to Azel, part of Team Azel Zuppy, for taking the doubles tournament over.
I'm not surprised about that.
Well, that was game 5 was interesting for a minute, but yeah, then it was kind of over after that. Josh Man and Plup just kind of top player privileging their way, and Plup is a good doubles player, but the problem is Plup is a better doubles player playing as Fox with like another support character, right? I mean, Sheik, yes, good, but I feel like Josh Man also wants to be really aggressive. I don't know. I was like, I guess it makes sense that they are in grand finals, but this is still weird. So hopefully, oh my gosh, they just reset bracket. Never mind. Zuffy and Azel all the way, baby, and then that's what happened. So congrats to them.
Here's the thing. I've seen Azel grind doubles like crazy. Especially literally if I check like Discord right now, I've seen him in servers I'm in pinging people to play doubles. Like he's been playing with GPU and doubles secretly. He's been playing with Dark Atma. He's been playing with Ralph. Like he's been playing with a lot of people. Like he's done his preparation, and from being around him and voice calls and stuff like that, and him in the process of him picking up Marth, I've seen how hard this guy works, and seeing where he got to where he at and winning Big House dubs with Zuppy doesn't surprise me too much, just because I know the preparation he's done, and he won Way Dash doubles in 2022 with Umarth, and they almost repeated this year, but lost to Dark Atma and Ralph. So he's only lost to NorCal and stuff like that. Like NorCal is still showing why there's easily maybe the best dubs region in the world in terms of who we have. I mean, we have some fantastic doubles players and a lot of grinders. I mean, I love teams just for that reason. It's really entertaining to watch, and a lot of the people, like every time I check, some servers I'm in, I see them and they're just like,
not in NorCal Melee. Unless one of these people is Azel in disguise, but is Boogeyman Azel? Is that who that is?
That is not not, but like it's mostly just like in our inner circles, we just we have a lot of just people that just grind doubles.
The real players. Yeah, I got it. It's okay. My heart's only partially broken. It's all good. I'm still part of the NorCal Melee server because I was hoping to find housing in advance of G9. Silly me. Anyway, all right, to wrap up, because we should wrap up, I want to make sure that we get to everything that you wanted to get to. So do you got any more topics that you wanted to make sure that we touch on? You can pick one if there's multiple. I want to make sure giving you
I did actually journal down like things that's like, what I want to talk about. We talked about Melee and the current stuff that's happening with the Nintendo stuff, kind of the balancing Melee with the job. We kind of talked a bit about that. Our priorities shift over time. I think we mentioned that pretty well.
Hacks should probably stay banned. We didn't get to it, but that's probably true. Yep.
Yeah, we haven't really mentioned that. That's still its own can of worms. I mean, I kind of mentioned a little bit of higher pick stations. It's so funny that I literally am using my journal for this. He's just like, I swear, I'm just like, this is a studious motherfucker, I swear to God. I guess like the only thing really left I want to talk about is just like the future of NorCal Melee, because now that I'm a lot busier now with a job, is just like, trying to get more people involved on a bigger scale, because enough time has passed where it's like people are kind of getting comfortable. We have our locals now that are very consistent that happen now, and it's like try to get like the next set of people up that's like, I think they're ready to take the next step, because I don't see myself doing this forever. I mean, I knew that literally from the get-go, like when I started, doing the server overhaul and everything like that. And it's like, now we're in a place where it's like, I've been doing this a while now. Like, I've been doing it 2 years, building the region up on parts on the Discord server, the Twitter account, the Twitch account, you name it. I've played some sort of role in some capacity, and all the other people involved as well played a great role. But it's like, some people, it's like, I'd love to start passing it on to the next set of people to where maybe I can ease some stuff off myself. Say if I do end up wounding into a full-time job or want to commit to certain ventures elsewhere, and it's like I'm starting to think about that transition period. And it's like it's finally, it's like I feel like I feel like I'm ready. I feel like I'm ready, and I entrust some people and some things that I've done before, and I'd like to see, train them and work them up to where eventually, to where I'm not really doing much NorCal melee and stuff anymore. I'll be sure it's in good hands, and that's kind of what I'm planning on right now. It's like, I want to have some sort of end game in mind. And that end game is when I'm done with all the NorCal melee, or at least being sort of like, I guess the vocal guy, if you will, or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
the NorCal melee, it's in good hands with a set of people that I know can do this well. They can put the region in a good direction, and I can advise them or consult with them or whatever you want to call it when needed. Because I think it's important to preserve the community, especially in these trying times right now, because we've seen a pandemic hit, we've seen a cease and desist, we've seen a guideline, we've seen a circuit go to shit, we've seen so many things go down.
Yeah,
But the one thing
more
that's
than
remained
one.
constant is that we've had a local community there, and I think kind of similar to what I said, I think in the last time I was here, is that really treasure those local scenes and value them as much as they're worth, especially right now. I feel like it's a bit of a corny saying to say support your locals, but like there is some truth to that statement, especially in this day and age where there's definitely, at least on the higher end, there's definitely always been a lot of uncertainty, but even now there could be some uncertainty based on the new guidelines, and I just think I think it'd be good. I think it'd be good to keep preserving it, and I'm hoping that as the time follows, maybe if I become more hands off on it, that it's in the hands of some people that I know can take good care of it. Because at least for me, I did a lot to put this region to where it's at now, and I'd love to see it continue to flourish. Whether I'm leading the front or some new folks that want to take the next step.
I'm hoping that you continue to find the people who will carry the torch. To your
Mm-hmm.
point, that's as many challenges as there are in Melee and in Smash in general. I've been trash talking the old kids, but they're trying as well. Is that when you get to a point where the events are popping in your region, and then the
Mm-hmm.
people who are running them say, "All right, time to bounce," and then everyone goes, "I will not be stepping up." I mean, it's just tough to have a combination of someone who's being vocal about wanting to do more without being like, some people want to do more and you're just like, not you, politely. So it
Yeah,
is tough to it is tough. But the
there's
people who
sayers
are,
and there's doers.
yes, the people who are running events have just another fun challenge amongst all the other things to find those kind of people who are, yes, the doers, the not complaining all the timers. I mean, look, we're no TO is perfect, obviously, but you're hoping
Oh,
to
I'm
find,
far from perfect.
yeah, you want to try to find, people who are going to give it their best shot, not necessarily coast
Hmm.
or just like drop it altogether. So like unsure, finding, I don't know how hard he looked around in Chicago Melee. There's plenty of people out there to find the people who now run, or like TO some of the bigger, like obviously mid lane Melee, all that kind of stuff. But unsure made sure. Oh, jeez. Did due diligence to be certain that Chicago Melee was going to continue to be super successful. And so now
Hmm.
Unsure is just competing as far as I know. I actually haven't checked in a while on mid lane top eights or anything like that. Hopefully popping off on the PR. So I hope the same for you and NorCal Melee, because I know when some of our first recordings they were during a time where things were like
Not
Genesis
great.
and Zip Zero Nada. So it's so cool. 717, same deal. My region, we were struggling for a while, and now we got some regularity, and it's really really special. So thankful for the TOs. Thank your TOs. Thankful for my TOs who continue to get out there and run events. So I don't really have any more to add for myself. Thank you all for tuning in, for the OGs and the new listeners. Sorry, new listeners. There's going to be less of these. I have to be honest, but I will still be around. You can still DM me on Discord or Twitter X, whatever you want to call it. Well, I guess without blue, you can't DM me unless I follow you first. Just go on Discord. I'm on Melee Stats. I'm in Walt's server. I'm in the Fire Nation Discord server. Shout outs to the Fire Nation. FirePup12 is one of the OG supporters for sure. I'm in a bunch of Melee and Smash servers. I'm even in the what's it? The home run contest one still, I think. Oh, yeah, the Smash Stadium one. Oh, there's new rules. Okay, well, I'll have to check that out. But like, even if I'm in a server that I have no activity in whatsoever, I'm in there. Just look up CYFER003 and boom, you won't have to pay for Twitter Blue, because you really shouldn't. Or X Blue? What are they? I don't forget this. It's Twitter. So I get to say that because I'm not doing this as much and I don't have to gremlin as much. But for you, Nathan, where can the people find you?
At Nathan Sandwich on Twitter. I'm gonna call it Twitter too, because screw
Hey.
that. You can find me also at NorCal Melee. That's the other one. I run that account as well, the NorCal Twitter account. Definitely, that's one of my first things I want to do. I want to try to get some more people, more hands on, running that account and just seeing like see what they can do with it as well, because I've been running that account for a bit now. And then I would say, I don't know, Nathan Sandwich on Twitch, Discord as well, or something like that. Like, you can follow me a lot of different places, but I don't know. I mean, you may see me with a Captain's Hat at Genesis, or walking around doing something, or if you're someone from NorCal, definitely try to come to Spice, bi-weekly tournament series that we just moved to Mondays. We just moved to Mondays to accommodate my work schedule, and as the recording of this, our next event is on October 30th. So if you're there, or if you're in NorCal, definitely try to come to that in Walnut Creek. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. And then just like, as always, thank you for just having me on as always. God, it's hard to believe that we've been doing. I've been on here a while. I've been on this podcast like, I think my 4th or 5th time now. I've done this. I've been on here for a minute.
Nobody else gives you the red carpet like me. Hey.
Yeah,
you are more than welcome to go on Mango's podcast. I know that you got the big shot stuff going on, but all the same, I'm happy that you keep asking to come back on. I think that's probably the coolest thing. There's people who get to the end of all this and somehow end up saying to me, it'd be cool to do this again. And I go, why, thank you. That's very nice of you to say. Might take you up on, you know what I mean? Like, it's really special. We are connected by not a ton of things because we're on opposite sides of the United States, but here we are. It's such a blessing. It's really cool to talk to you, even if it's only every once in a while, because we want to see the same things for Melee, and we both really enjoy playing and watching. We both enjoy seeing big dubs in chat for Smash. So whenever I get to have you on, I always look forward to it.
Well, likewise, I always appreciate that. You give me the platform to be on and just talk about whatever. It seems like, so I always appreciate it.
One of my favorite things that I've ever done, unfortunately, I have to bring up another guest, but Marco, aka Smasher Magazine. Majorzine. Gosh. Anyway, Majorzine, Smasher Magazine is also a friend of the program, but Majorzine, aka Marco, we somehow got onto Star Wars. We got onto the new movies, and we somehow started talking about Raylo. which is the Kylo Ren X-Ray ship. And I spent a good 25 minutes on that because I won't let that go. I love that so much. It's near and dear to my heart. And I could see in Marco's eyes that there was not preparation for how hard I was going in the paint. But yeah, I needed to let the people know. So whether it's Castlevania or whatever it may be. I mean, hey, we even got into hockey a little bit. That's hockey talk. We got into NASCAR a little bit. That's NASCAR talk. It's too bad that we didn't get to talk about, hey, guess what game I'm going to go see this year? The Eagles are hosting the San Francisco 49ers in Philadelphia. About to cash the biggest L of your life. And it doesn't matter if Brock Purdy is healthy or not, even though he's not healthy currently, I will note. But he's... whether he's there or not, we're all the way turned up for that game because we want to back up our, well, we didn't talk as much as the 49ers did after they lost, but we want to back it up for sure.
It'll be a good game.
It should be a good game, hopefully.
If you were to ask me a few weeks ago when we were still undefeated, I would have been like, bring it on. But we lost 2 straight, and there's definitely some problems with our defense. I'm like, all right. Maybe
injuries
we're not as
are
good
tough.
as we think we are.
Injuries are tough. That's us too. I mean, we have dealt with more injuries this year than we did all of last year. So I definitely understand that you're dealing with injuries. So that's a big part of it.
The road to the Super Bowl, I feel like, is going to be hard for either of us.
Well, I don't really think
there.
There's no chance that it's going to be anybody besides the 49ers or the Eagles at the top of the NFC. The Lions are a good team. The Lions are a good team, but they're not going to be a 3-loss team. They're not going to be a 5-loss team. I think they will have more games like the Ravens game this past weekend where they drop it. They wouldn't drop it by as much as they did against the Ravens, but like they lost to the Seahawks, which they are a good team, but if you want to be at the top of the NFC, you shouldn't be losing to the Seahawks when you are playing them in Detroit, and you certainly should not be like just pounded into a fruitcake by the. It was like 30-something to 6.
It was bad. It was bad.
Bad. It was really bad. And good teams do not get blown out like that. Like obviously, it hurts to lose a close game to the Jets, but we were in that game. The 49ers were in each of their games.
Both losses. They had been close losses.
So close. We've
had chances to win both games.
Good teams do not get blown out. I mean, when we won the Super Bowl and then we got blown out by the Saints in the following season, we got blown out. We were not a good team. We were a wild card team that year. We did not finish with the number 1 seed. We did not have the road to the Super Bowl go through Philly. We were not a good team like we were the previous year. So like, I'm saying that as someone who is experienced in this whole NFL shenanigans. So, may the 49ers / Eagles game in this early December be a good one, be a worthy game in the regular season. Everyone will go. Hopefully everyone will go, man, if only we got that game last year. But it should be fun. I've just learned there's someone who I became mutuals with out at Genesis, who I'm forgetting the name of at Big House 10, who I can't remember the name of right this second, but I still remember the doom posts on Twitter during that 49er Eagles game, and I didn't engage because I knew better, but
I didn't want to message you, but I'm like, dude, we're fucked. We had Christian McCaffrey. I was messaging Edwin Budding, actually.
Yeah, who's not an Eagles fan, but that's okay because he gets to suffer with the Patriots with the Patriots now. I mean, they screwed themselves out of a good pick, and they're not good enough to make the playoffs. That's just the kind of purgatory that those Patriots need. So
I talked to Edwin actually a decent bit about football, and during the NFC Championship, I literally stopped watching after the 4th quarter because I do talk to Edwin, actually, of all people. Edwin Budding's probably my football person I go to in terms of Smash stuff.
Mm-hmm. No, he's a great person. I mean, he knows more than just like. It's hard for me to get beyond the Eagles for football, but you can just forget college football. That's a skip for me. But it's Edwin just knows so much about everything. Of course, I absolutely understand that. He knows. He's got the right mind. He's got the right mind for it. I can only go so far. There are a few people who can go hard in the paint like Edwin Budding.
We need a melee scoregami. When's melee scoregami happening?
I would like that, but are we talking about that? Can't no. How are we doing melee scoregami?
I feel like that's a good question. I kind of want to bring that to melee stats and see if they can somehow come up with that. I think it'd be really funny, but also a pain in the ass to try and do.
The scoregami could be the seeds that you defeat on your way to winning the tournament. So there's probably
or like actual game count, like percentages.
Because there are probably a decent amount of tournaments where the one seed wins outright and the seeds don't follow the exact formula, but there's probably number one seeds taking it over a bunch of like probable seeds and then over the 2 seed for grand finals kind of a deal. But then there are tournaments where just wild things happen. I mean, the classic example being J-Mook finishing second, but even for tournament winners, Amsa was not the number 1 seed going into Big
like
House.
6 seed.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Like
is that a seeding scoregami? I think that's the closest thing you can get to, I think. Am I making sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I honestly I'd love to bug melee stats about it and see if they've ever teased with the idea. Because if anything, I feel like those people, they would definitely try something like that. Because I saw their band stages video, and I'm like, dude, this is like some John Boyce type of shit. And it's like, I guarantee you, if they tried a melee scoregami, I guarantee you they'd have a field day doing it, and they definitely are the right minds to try and do it.
Since that Start GG doesn't display it in a way that makes sense to me, who's the 1 seed, 2 seed, 10th seed, 17th. I know that the season Start GG vet can look at a page and be like, there's the 1 seed, 2 seed all the way down.
I can recognize that right away.
But for me, I'm just like, I guess the one on top is number 1 and number 2's in the middle somewhere, but I don't know. That's unfortunately me.
Yeah.
Okay, but see, that's what I'm saying. We can get into stuff, and it's super fun.
We just hit the 2-hour mark or something like that.
It's a beautiful thing. 2:02 at the moment. Thank you all for sticking around, both on the live stream and on all podcast platforms and YouTube. It's super cool to continue to feel like, yes, I can do this. I don't need to make a quota kind of a thing. I get to have on whoever I please, which includes having Nathan Sandwich on again, which is great. So thank you for joining me once again. Until next time, and hopefully, I mean, just the Genesis thing is looking like a small chance for me at the moment, but the overnight venue, for those of you who are interested in going, overnight venue, the Civic Theater for top 8, which is, I mean, it's so special to have theater like seating and a vibe for top 8, and then you got all the other things that come with an event like Genesis, where it's not just show up for your pool. They just got so many different things going on. I mean, there's a free arcade, the kind of a thing, you get to do a lot when you pay for a spectator pass and when you pay for a competitor pass. But I think the coolest thing for this year specifically is you pay for all of it at once and you get into the building for the whole weekend, and then you just gotta have the badge and you're in for top 8 viewing experience, which I so badly want to have that, just even that. But the overnight venue sounds cool as well. I mean, just all of it sounds super fun. So take it from someone who's attended a Genesis and volunteered one, ran pools at one, which I think I did pretty good with. Maybe Contra or Jade would disagree, but they didn't give me any criticisms. They just, anyway. I had to ask an abnormal amount of questions, and Contra and Jade don't need questions from a pool captain on a Friday or Saturday. Either day is bad. And my favorite memory with that was Hungrybox coming up to me and saying, "This is our doubles pool," and Plups standing behind him, and I go, "This is not your doubles pool. This is singles pool. I won or something." you probably have like J101 or something. And he goes, that can't possibly be accurate. Well, he didn't say it like that, but then Plop looked at his phone and said, actually, that is true. We are a different letter 101. And Hungrybox goes, oh, and then he just walks off. You know, you just get to have little
Yeah.
things like that happen to you if you do pools. So volunteer if you're going to Genesis as well. Promise you it's fun. Promise free food tastes amazing.
Yep. Star.gg/GX.
Ooh. That's the good stuff right there. Thank you all for joining us.
Peace. We're done?
Shh, the outro is playing right now. Your voice came through. My voice is coming through. I was about to message you. And now I'm just going to continue the bit because we've already broken the wall. Might as well just keep going.
Well,
Check out these other videos. I mean, what are we even recommending today? All right. We're still recording and streaming and stuff, but anyway.
God damn it. I fucked up at the end there.
I forgot to tell you. So I just figured you'd remember, silly me.
It's been a while. I actually need to pee really bad, but we can do the thumbnail and everything
Okay.
real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be back in a sec.
Mm-hmm. Yep.